So let me first introduce myself. I am Himanshu Sharma, and I will be taking your geography classes, geography and environment classes. So my question is, how many of you know me? Anyone? चलो एक तो है. Okay. Since you people are very new, I am very famous for the optional part. So I take geography optional as well. There I am very famous. GS classes also I take, but you can understand a teacher who is a optional teacher is too much busy in the optional part. Okay. So you all are here to ultimately prepare for the examination. So how many of you are preparing to give the attempt next year, 2024? Okay, so majority of you. Just as a reality check, if we talk about 2024, that means we know that the next year examination will be in the month of May, again prelims. So how many months are left? I would say for a good preparation around 10 to 11 months, 11 months are left. ठीक है? And अगर हम एक average माने, if we just take an average of how much time is left, I think on an average a student would study 25 days in a week. Yes or no? Week में एक छुट्टी तो बनता है यार. And I think really if you really work hard for the week, you deserve that one of rest. And this should be the target that I am studying. I am studying for at least minimum 6 days, and one day I can take a break along with some revision part which I'll maybe plan for the 7th day. So that should be the strategy. So if I just calculate, like for example 6 days, that means on an average 25 days in a month. So how many days are left? How many days would be left? Something like, just say it is around 300. Okay. So around 300 days we have. And if you calculate, for example, these 300 days, if you study around 10 hours in a day, so exactly how many hours you have? 1000 hours you have. And if you actually calculate how much things you have to study, there will be optionals, and depending upon the options you will choose, you'll find that the number of segments in each of the optionals will vary from 15 to 20. Okay. And if you know about optionals, you know that one segment in itself is quite large, because we are talking about like a kind of post PG level, or even if it is graduation level, it is honors level. So one segment in itself is quite large. And then there is GS, which has essentially no end. If you would have seen the paper this year, it would essentially look like that there is no end. We will see that it is a kind of myth that there is no end. There is always an end. But on an average, even if you take just an average of calculation, you will be finding that if you don't become serious now, if you don't start your studies with strong intensity from now, you will be essentially struggling later on. Okay, let us take an example. If you take, for example, one book you must have heard about, very famous book for polity, one, Lakshmikant. And on an average, if you look into Lakshmikant, there are around कितने पेजेस होंगे? 800 के आसपास पेजेस हैं, around 800. Have you calculated how much time it takes for you to study one page. Because I really believe Lakshmikant is a book to be read end to end. Something like a very, if I am studying properly, not just reading, also understanding, causing mental pictures of what is written, of the reading something, of add some kind of examples you have read or listened about some examples of what is, like for example, if topic of fundamental right to life, I think of any example of or right to life with example like this, the, the like this. How much time it would, one page? Ultimately, I really have to test lots of. I really believe somewhere around 30, 40 minutes background and average ले लो 5 minutes. Just finishing one time. Can you imagine how many hours it is take out of your allotted 1,000 hours? Imagine self going, and there are many other things. Since you are joining the classes, know very well, sometime classes. In fact, yes, more technical than GS is optional. Have to also do the optional classes. So the reality have actually time, like तो ऐसा लग रहा होगा ना कि अरे, but if that too, man, not too much far away, and will probability of select high in, just see the paper how you play. JC does not want it to, why it would frame like this kind of paper. The for this year, even us teachers had to or go through books and go through internet to find the answers. That means they are framing paper where even a veteran has no advantage. Essentially, they want new blood, young blood. And there was, in fact, there was a report, SC report, which was very clear that the many that time there were two veterans used to qualify. Now also it is the case. But what the report said, that these people might be aware कि यहाँ UPSC में बाबा बोलते हैं. So these people, they are very difficult to train. They are very rigid in their attitude. And since then you will be finding this change in the examination pattern has. To look into the mains, for example, how many questions are there in one paper of GS? In your optional paper, there are 19. And can you think, on an average, are not getting more than 10 minutes. Even 10 minutes I am taking on the higher side for one question. That 10 minutes you have to think, right? Everything has to be done. Reading the question, understanding the, planning the answer, and then writing the. Can you imagine It is very, very clear. If you just look at the paper, want fresh people, want new, want young people. And if I am not able, to qualify what they want, it is. And what will happen next year? Hal selection nahi. Suppose let us, in worst case, qualify like 2020. There will be psychological impact. There will be about the that you did, and many students just because, and believe firm about this idea. KC preparation is doubt about. Here what happens? Uh, you will you teachers who are very good in the domain and not have met such kind of stage. It's a very good learning, okay. But it is also like, one of the biggest health problems today, diabetes. Okay. So what happens if too much of sugar problem, we are calling it as diabetes sugar problem. अगर too much of UPSC हो गया for many years, what will happen? Viable process will become, and it will become like hell. And can you understand? Most of the good students, they're coming to. I'm really believe. हम आज की डेट में जैसे नेशनल हॉबी सा बन गया, तो इट इज लाइक destroying the demographic division of India. Because what you are doing essentially, you are spending very peak years of your life here, and after that what? Because less than 0.1% people are getting. After that what? So your target for here, 2 attempts and not more than that. If I am unable to get through 2 attempts, that's it. I will do something in my life. There are any other. We are living in a globalized world. If you are talented, you will find something for yourself good. So 2 attempts, इससे ज़्यादा नहीं. If you look into the people who are getting through after 2 attempts, actually, you'll be finding जो मैंने 0.1% बोला है ना, it becomes even lesser. Very few people actually get through. Now, when it is very clear, when I am very much determined that I will just give my 2 attempts, then can I say my intensity be very high from the first day itself? It should be. And I still remember, in fact, I run my own institute as well, Guidance IS के नाम से. So the first, if you talk about my first selection from my institute, I was teaching other places and many students got selected, but my first selection from my institute, it was a girl, and he came to me in the month of January. Can you imagine? In the month of January. That time again, prelims used to happen in May. What was her problem? She had appeared 1 attempt with public administration as her optional, and he realized that she did not understood public administration, because for he had a more logical type of mind, and public administration being a more social science type of thing was not very logical to her. So she decided that her personality more suited for geography. But can you understand, we are talking about January, when there was that time for filling the form. February में form fill होता है, उस time January में होता था. And then she decided that she'll take geography optional. She came to me and said that, sir, I want to take geography optional and I will study and I'll do the classes with you. So I told her that, child, don't you think that it is little bit late for changing your optional? Because even if you wanted to change your optional, you should have done that in the month of like September, October, after you had written your mains. He told me, nahi, nahi, kar lungi, sir. I was like doubtful, highly doubtful, and I kept on repeating that maybe you should rethink, because changing the optional in the midway, maybe it will not be very useful. But she said, nahi, nahi, kar lungi. And ultimately, we kept on talking. She became my student, and she started working very, very hard. And one day I asked that, you are so much motivated, and essentially you are doing also very good in the tests which are going on. What is your reason for this kind of motivation that you have? He told me, he said, this is the last attempt which my family has given to me. अगर इस attempt में select नहीं हुई, they will marry me. And he was determined enough to ultimately get selected in that attempt. And she did. Although she didn't got IAS, but she did it. She got selected. So you must understand that it is within you. It is all about that determination. It is all about that intensity. Okay? And it is all about that motivation. So if I just ask you, if I just put you here, there is, I am saying, okay. So if I ask you, suppose there is these two things. One is essentially this motivation. So how to keep yourself motivated during this preparation period? कैसे करेंगे? Okay, reason why you want to become an IAS officer, that can be one motivation. और बताओ. My question is, there must be some other task you would have taken up in life. वहाँ पर भी reason था. Did that reason kept you motivated? What else? How I'll keep myself motivated? There is lots of, these days, आजकल, one more thing is happening for motivation. There are many teachers who have actually stopped being UPSC teachers and they have become motivational gurus. They have become very famous. I'll not name them, but you know whom I'm talking about. So one way is you keep on taking motivation from them. But obviously, if you do so, you will compromise on the time that you will allot for your studies. So what else can we do? Very good. Very, very good. See, very, one perception is that if I am motivated, what will happen? I will be disciplined and I will study. Okay. In practical reality, this is actually, it might work sometimes, but not always. In practical reality, one thing always works: if you are disciplined, essentially you will be motivated. Because if I am disciplined, if I make some tasks for a day, for example, and if I am disciplined, can I say there will be high probability that I will achieve my tasks? High probability. Agar tasks have been intelligently designed. I'll come to that point later on. So can we say there will be high probability that I will achieve my task if it was practically designed? अब ऐसा नहीं कि सोचा कि पूरे दिन में इंडिया ईयर बुक खत्म, हो ही नहीं सकता है. So there is high probability that you will achieve. When you will go to sleep, can I say I will feel myself like a winner? If I have done what was required for the day, at the time of sleep, I'll feel like a winner. And next day, what will happen? I'll wake up with same intensity. Okay. So one very important thing is never take this part, discipline, lightly. Many times we have this kind of attitude where we think कि चलो यार एक दो दिन कुछ इधर उधर हो जाए, it will not affect. It does affects. If you look into nature, you know that it affects. For example, suppose if I am driving a cycle and if I stop the cycle, can I say if I want to again start the cycle, ride the cycle, will it require more energy for me for the cycle to start moving? Okay. So your preparation is like a cycle. You are driving a cycle. If you stop, again what will happen? You will have to restart, and that will require lots of energy. So keep this in mind that discipline is very, very important key. And why I am saying this? Because I find that today what is happening in this world of technology, people are taking technology for granted. We are also facing this problem. Like in our classes, suppose there is enrollment of 200 students, and out of that, many times we find there is only 50 students sitting. ठीक है, उनसे पूछा गया कि भैया क्यों नहीं आ रहे हो? सर वी विल वॉच ऑनलाइन, तो एक्सेस मिला हुआ है, so we will watch online, no problem. Then we see what is the view time in the app, वहाँ पर भी नहीं देख रहे हैं. So you have to be very, very clear about this discipline. If you are here, you have to attend the classes. ठीक है, number one. Number two, your plan little bit about this strategy. And to just give a background of this, here in Karol Bagh, we did one exercise, and we have been doing actually this exercise from almost 1 year now. And this exercise, we called it as UPSC diagnosis. What we did, we prepared a very elaborate form about the background of the student. So what you are from outside, that is the background of the student. Then there is another page, 2 pages in fact, what you are from inside. So for example, what is your daily routine, what things you are reading, how many other sources, how many test series, classes, etc. So much detailed form it is. And we have done this exercise with almost now more than 1200 students. And we got some results from there. Results meaning we came to know about the students, how they are preparing. We were also surprised. We knew that there was problem, but we didn't knew the magnitude of this problem. And one very starking, if you talk about revelation, which was there, it was about revision. In those forms, we found that there were large majority of people who were never revising, who were not revising at all. And there were majority of people who did not had any revision plan, zero revision plan. Can you guess कितने लोग होंगे? How many percentage of people? It was 99.9%. 99.9%. And there itself you know why those 0.1% got selected. You are studying, you are doing the classes, but you are not revising. And there lies the problem. I don't know कि ये यूपीएससी में like I know बहुत सारे टीचर्स बोलते हैं that see you have to develop analytical skills, you'll have to develop a perspective to become an IAS officer. सुना है ऐसा? ठीक है? They are all lying. They are just fooling you. The people who get selected here are the ones who can rattafy well. रट्टा मार सकते हैं. Strong. If you can memorize, essentially you will get selected. It is all about memorization. And believe me, once you memorize things, you will see that you will begin to understand also. You will begin to link concepts very well. Because they are in your memory, you are constantly thinking about them. And then those linking, those analytical abilities, they will all come by itself. But the first step is essentially what? The first step is that memorization. The problem is that human beings are designed in such a way that we always want something new in life. What happens when at home our mother makes the same food again for 2-3 days? We don't like it because we want to do something new, we want to eat something new. So it is in our nature. So what we have to essentially do, we have to shed this part. We have to actually work hard. Where is that work hard of UPSC? Reading that same stuff again and again, multiple times. How many times you can do that? There lies the key for getting selected in the examination. And I have really found that people who can do this 10 times, 15 times are the ones who will get selected. When I am teaching in the classes, many times students ask me, sir, you are not even looking at the content and you remember everything line by line. ऐसा कैसे? I simply tell them that see, I have been teaching since 2009. Every year, I teach almost 3 to 4 batches, average 4 batch, 4 batches. Now, how many years have gone by? Calculate how many revisions I would have done. And there, you understand how I remember things, how I am able to make very good answers at instant, how am I able to link so many concepts together. So it all depends upon what? It all depends upon memorization. So from first day, you should know this, that memorization is the key. And how you will be able to memorize? By doing multiple revisions. ठीक है? अब रिवीजन पर आते हैं. Now, tell me, suppose if I am preparing for UPSC, can I say my GS classes will take how much time? Around 3 hours? Yes or no? It will take around 3 hours. Then I will obviously study for my optional. I will join classes. How much time? 3 hours. और भी कुछ पढ़ना होता है? Can I say current affairs? So let us write it here. I'll go through current affairs. Wars gone in the current affairs. How many hours have gone by right now? 8 hours. Already in a day, what you have done? You have spent 8 hours. In a day, how much time you can spend on studies? If you stretch too much, maximum I think 12 hours, maximum that is. And that too, it will be difficult to do every day. Okay. So that means even I am taking an ideal case scenario and I have now spare 4 hours in a day. Now tell me, can I say when I have this kind of scenario, my question is you have now two choices. One choice is that I go home and I study something else. Like for example, I would have seen some senior telling me or some topper telling me that this book has to be read. Okay. Or some other person giving advice, no, you have to go through this. Or I myself coming across and I find something very interesting. So that is choice one. But if I follow choice one, do you think that you have time for revision? Tell me. You don't have choice. You don't have time for revision then. Every day your 8 hours of hard work will be gone in vain. They'll be of no use because it is scientifically proven fact that after 24 hours you almost lose 80% of what you have learned. You forget it. So if I'm not revising, if I'm spending these 4 hours in listening to, you know very well, there are multiple ways here where you can study. Like for example, there is now YouTube, etc. So many things are there. So many distractions. I call them as distractions. Technology has given us these distractions as well. So if I follow those distractions, it is but obvious that I will not have time for revision. And all the money which I would have spent, all the time of my life I would have spent, it will all be gone in vain. Again next year kya hoga after the classes? You'll feel when you'll pick up those notes, or many times you don't want to pick up those notes, you'll pick up some books. Essentially you will be finding that you are starting like a new. So do you get my point? If you are joining the classes, first most important thing when you are going home should be that you revise whatever was done in the classes. In fact, you should have a revision schedule. Like for example, your revision schedule should be something like whatever I am studying, first 24 hours, within 24 hours, I have to revise. That is my first revision. Then my second revision should be done within 7 days. For example, in a day like Sunday, I can make where I will revise everything which was done in that week. And third revision, you should target with your tests which will be conducted. And this is very practical. It can be achieved very practically. 3 revisions along with the classes till the classes keep on going. And you will see when the classes will finish, how much good position you will find yourself in. Okay? So this is something which you have to plan from now and be very firm, be very disciplined with respect to this. Anything can be left, anything. Even if rank 1 is suppose giving an interview, that can be left, but not the revision of the day. That is something non-negotiable for me. Okay? Now, what is the big problem that you will be facing in this taking this path? There is a practical problem that will come. And I keep on every year it is like this. I'll start the classes and I'll tell the students about the need for revision, the importance of revision, and everyone will be like, अभी जैसे तुम लोग बैठे हो, so you feel, हाँ, what this person is telling, it is really very logical and I should be doing. But what will happen? In the classes, 90% of the people will again get distracted. Even after knowing, they will get distracted. So, what is essentially the reason of this distraction? One reason is you are not following the discipline. So, again, if you are not following the discipline, what will happen? You will get demotivated. There will be cycles when essentially you will be not studying and everything get derailed. So, that is one. And many are like, the majority you will be finding would be like this. But there are many who are determined, who are very disciplined, but still are facing this problem that they are getting derailed. So, what actually happens? What happens is that during the classes, you might face several roadblocks, barriers. And what are these barriers? These barriers are understanding barriers. Okay? These are understanding barriers. What are these understanding barriers? Can I say, if I am sitting in a class, is it possible कि अगर something teacher is teaching, out of 100, there will be 10-15% which I might not understand? Yes or no? बहुत common सी बात है. But those 10-15% things, what students are doing, they'll उसके पीछे पड़ गए. ठीक है? They're just behind those 10%, 15% stuff, and they'll search through books, they'll search through videos, they'll do everything for that 10-15%. And doing that, can I say, I am following the path which was not to be followed? Okay? So, this examination is also about controlling your emotions. You have to understand that this idea, this perception of idealism, that will be your downfall. You have to be very practical with preparation. If I don't understand things, can I say, yaar, usme, in that stuff there will be keywords. If I mug up those keywords and if I repeat those keywords, suppose if that is asked in the question, if I repeat those keywords, can I say examiner doesn't has telepathic powers to know कि मुझे समझ में आया था या मैंने रट्टा मार के लिखा था. He won't be able to know that. So when you face these roadblocks, don't get derailed. Later when the classes will be finished, you will also understand those things also. Just be patient. Keep your patience and wait for the movie to be completed. It is like a movie, like a suspense movie. So can you understand, when you are watching a suspense thriller, there will be many things you will not understand in between. When the movie is completed, then only you will know who was the killer. So it is something like this. And if you are able to control your emotions in this regard, if you don't become the most ideal person on earth at that time, then your chances of your probability of selection will be high, because then you will be able to achieve this thing. Okay? So this is something which is you should know. One more thing why people get derailed, one more thing I'll tell you. If you look at the paper, how the paper UPSC frames, in the paper you will be finding that there are three type of questions. And if you talk about these three type of questions, one category of question is the direct questions. Second category of question is, I call them as tricky questions. And third type of questions, these are exceptional questions. Okay? These are exceptional questions. Normally, if you talk about this ratio varies from paper to paper. Like this year, we found that the share of tricky questions increased and also the share of some exceptional questions increased. And as a result of which we can say that the paper was very tough. But mains में अगर मैं बताऊं तो mains में what is taking place, the share of direct questions is around 40 to 50%. The share of tricky questions is again around 40 to 50%. And the share of exceptional questions is 0 to 20%. Okay. Exceptional questions are the questions, believe me, which even the teachers will have to find answers for them. I can pick up any random thing. Like for example, I am teacher of geography and one segment of geography is geomorphology. You might be aware, where we study about the land surface, geomorphology. I have an encyclopedia of geomorphology of 6,000 pages. I can make a full paper where you won't be able to solve a single question. Do you get my point? So what is actually happening? These exceptional questions are purposefully put there in the paper. These are questions which test your psychology. Like for example, many times you will find these questions are the first questions. And they would have put it because they know psychologically weak people will be eliminated there itself. Because as soon as you know that you don't know about something, you will feel depressed. In that depression, what can happen? You can forget even many things which you already which you know because of this feeling of depression. So there is a purpose because of which those exceptional questions are being put there. Like my subject geography optional, every year from past, if you talk about 9 years, first question is the exceptional question, first question. Okay. Now what happens? The problem is that when sometimes too much is also bad. So what is that too much? Sometimes when things you get ready made, you don't know the process and you don't respect that hard work. तो आज की डेट में क्या होता है, क्योंकि सब ये ट्रेंड चल गया है and you know teachers will come and they'll give you section wise questions. Okay, there is multiple, if you talk about books in the market which will provide you section wise questions. Okay, and when I am going through the questions section wise, the problem is that I will not be able to know the balance of this paper. That in that year in the paper there were 40 to 50% of questions which were of the easy type, direct type. There were 40 to 50% of the questions which were of tricky type, which if I had good fundamentals and if I had good practice, I would have been able to do them as well. Human beings, by nature, we have fear of unknown things. So, our eyes will be stuck where? Our eyes will be stuck on those questions which we don't know, which we haven't heard of. We will forget, we will not think that there were easy questions, there were direct questions, there were tricky questions. I will not think, was I able to get 60% marks here if I was writing in the examination? There is a simple question, for example, tropical cyclone, temperate cyclone. Differentiate between tropical and temperate cyclone. Every year I test this. क्लास में बताता हूँ, उसके बाद टेस्ट लेता हूँ. Then also I tell them that you'll see you'll not be able to write all the 13 points which I will be teaching you in the class. And every year it repeats that there is not a single person who is able to write 13 points. So what is basically happening? Because you didn't do that activity. हम लोगों के time पे क्या होता था? There was no such separate like topic wise previous year booklets available, books available. We had only year wise books. So we used to write by our hand, don't ke. And when we were reading those, we could see ki, okay, in a year there is also this type, there is also this type, and there were few questions which maybe I was not in a position to answer. But overall, I was, if I study my things which were taught in the classes well, I will be in a good position to answer the paper. So what happens when you don't have this realization, your focus will be preparing on what? These exceptions. And teachers, as a teacher, I will not teach you these exceptions in the classes because there is no limit to those exceptions. Anything can be asked. I don't want to waste my time. I want to prepare you in this and this because this is what will get you selected. But because you will see some other paper, some other coaching institute or someone telling about people are making so many videos today of these exceptional things, you will get distracted. And what will happen? Again, you will forget to revise the stuff which was being taught in the classes. So this is another reason why people are getting distracted. But when I know this, when I understand, it no matter 2-3 क्वेश्चन छूट भी गए तो कोई बात नहीं यार. Can I say अगर 2-3 क्वेश्चन छूट गए, सपोज मेरे 3 क्वेश्चन छूट गए, I will get 30 minutes extra. Yes or no? I'll get that 30 minutes extra. That means that 30 minutes I can write those 17 questions very well. And this should be the spirit of preparation of the examination. If I am preparing like this, be very sure, high chances that you will get through. So that means whatever we'll do in the classes, this is something which is I have to focus upon. My spirit should be like, no matter what, if things come from the class, I will not miss them out. Every year it is the same story, the same stuff. Students will come to me, sir, 80% तो पेपर क्लास से ही आ गया, तो भैया तुम्हारा सिलेक्शन क्यों नहीं हुआ? Why you didn't get marks? Because sir, I didn't revise well. Next year I will do. But what is happening? Same story next year. Again got stuck where? In the exceptions. The same story is being repeated and they are still not understanding this point. Since you are beginners, I think you can better get this point. You have not been still wired in those kind of things. In fact, if you look in the selection rate, अगर मैं selection rate की बात करूं, tell me, do we find that the people who have had their educational background in some elite institutions like IIT, IIMs, do they have better success rate? They have actually. Okay, they have. There is a reason behind that. क्या reason हो सकता है? Yes, that is the only reason. See what happens, because they already qualified something of a big all India competition. They know that the process is simple, and when you are preparing at that school level, jab IIT, the teachers are more like, they are more like content based teachers. A mathematics teacher will be very good in mathematics, physics teacher will be very good in physics, so he is more concerned about teaching mathematics and physics rather than motivating you. Okay, what happens, so they already know that simple things have to be done, some books are there, that books I will do and I can qualify, and they qualified essentially. What happens in UPSC when they come, there is a kind of environment which has been created, that UPSC is like something of a exam which is larger than life. Okay, इतना हवा बना के रखा हुआ है UPSC का, that a person who is coming from a humble educational background, he gets lost. He feels that those people who qualify, they are like some kind of aliens. They are some kind of very idealist people. I still remember जब पहली बार मैंने अपने पापा को बोला that I want to prepare for civil services, he looked me from ऊपर से नीचे तक देखा and he told me, do you know what you are speaking? Do you even understand? You have been like an average student, not even got 90%, 80% वाला था. So you have been like an average student. Do you think that you will be able to qualify UPSC? And do you really think people who are there, they are studying 14 hours, 15 hours in a day? Here you cannot study even 5 hours. Most of the time you are playing. Do you think you will be able to clear UPSC? At that time I was also playing football for my university team. So this is the kind of perception and idealism of perception. There is lots of idealism associated. So when a person from a humble background comes, he also feels this kind of idealism. There should be preparation, which is so much idealistic kind of preparation. Is it true? Is it really so? No, it is not so. UPSC exam is just like your board examination. What we did in the board examination, we mugged up what was being taught in the classes, we memorized it, we went into the exam and we wrote. Here only one thing will be there, we will add layers of practice and answer writing, so that whatever you remember, you are able to present yourself better, because here it is a competitive examination where you have to sell yourself that you are best suited for the job. So that is the only layer we'll add. But the other stuff, other basic stuff, it will remain same what you did in your board examination. So it is not something like kind of idealistic thing. So that means my selection chances will be high if I have a practical strategy. If I am going to the classes every day, I am revising my classes every day, weekly and the third revision, if possible more revisions, lots of practice, lots of answer writing, that's it. Exceptions, I will not run behind exceptions. They are not the ones who will get me selected. It is the other two category which will get me selected. Okay? This is something which should be very, very clear with you. Okay. So this was some general tips I wanted to give you. Hmm. Hmm. What do you understand by, what do you mean by self study? Then why did you join the class? Huh? So you can get that guidance otherwise in a very short span of time. We are living in an information age. All the guidance is available on YouTube. Why do you need to put 3 hours every day for guidance, 6 hours in fact? And if you are putting 6 hours in a day for guidance, then essentially what essentially you are doing those 4 hours? Don't you think your strategy is like there is a problem? Either you have joined the wrong classes where the teachers are not teaching the stuff properly, because of which you need to essentially read the books as well, go back and ultimately go through them. This is the problem. If you are sitting here, think about this, what you are doing 3 hours, or you are going there for Babaji ka motivation ke liye. I think, what is my perspective, that 3 hours I am there for learning something new, new content, new topics which are being taught, and if the teacher is good, you don't need to go beyond that. Okay, so maybe the teacher is good, or you are also victim of this. Yes, so maybe it is mix of both, but there is some problem, because for me those 3 hours is the reading, that's studying, and when I go home, then there is revision. Okay, if you manage it like this, it is manageable. This is one of the reasons you have to join the classes at a place after some research. Okay, where you find such kind of teachers, where they are giving good quality content. You know, today what is the case? We are living in a post-truth world. Have you heard about this term? Post-truth. Post-truth is a scenario where truth doesn't matters, where every other thing matters. What is the hardcore facts? They don't matter. So fact might be something else, truth might be something else, but our dear leaders will come on television and they'll cry little bit, and people will get emotional. They'll forget everything. Reality is something else, and they'll come and tell you, shout on TV, "Beti bachao." Even there might be a rape taking place just 5 kilometers from there. So the truth doesn't matter, and it is, see, it is happening in every perspective of life. Those people are more famous who are actually lying, who do not have even, like UPSC field की अगर हम बात करें, they don't even have the content proper. What they are doing? They are motivating you. Students come to me, they have spent, for example, done their classes, and like they are coming for test series or other programs, and they don't know anything. When they'll come to us, they'll realize, okay, this is has to be studied. I was not know. But still, if they ask you, how was, if I ask them, how was your classes, foundation classes? They'll say they were very good. How they were very good, yaar? Why? Because the teacher was actually able to entertain you, and you like that entertainment. you're not willing to sit little bit struggle during those classes. वो entertainment कर रहा है, मजा आ रहा है. So maybe this is the problem. Okay, so you have to look into, because if you keep going on like this, be assured that it will become a problem and selection will become very difficult. Okay. Okay, so that is the thing. Now coming to my domain, and my domain is essentially, geography and environment. So I'll be taking up geography and environment classes for you. And if we talk about first geography, so my question is, what is geography? Geography क्या है? Study of nature. Okay, study of earth, ठीक है. Study of earth or study of environment. Anything else? Topography, okay. Okay, just let us first take these two. If suppose I am taking this study of earth, if I say geography study of earth, now tell me, does this same definition will also fit for geology? Isn't geology also study of earth? I'll come to that. Wait. And if I take this environment, can I say the same definition would also fit for ecology? Definitely yes. That means कुछ और भी चीजें होंगी ना. Geography, we have to specify what is geography. No doubt it is study of earth. So if I just add one more thing, it will become more geographical. And what is that one more thing? I can say geography is study of Earth's surface. In geology, we are very much concerned about what is also happening inside the earth. In geography, our concern is up to what is happening on the surface of the earth. ठीक है? Also, abhi bhi, if we look into this definition, there will be several disciplines which can claim. This is also what we are doing. Why only geography can claim that this is geography is doing? So even if you look into, for example, can I say biology is also studying earth's surface? Only one part of the earth's surface, living beings which are present on the earth's surface. Okay. Meteorology is also studying earth's surface. It is essentially studying the atmosphere, one aspect. So many others can claim the same thing which we are claiming for geography. और ऐड कर देते हैं इसमें. Okay, layers पे नहीं जाते हैं, because we are more concerned about what is happening on the surface of the earth. We just study inside because we want to know what is happening outside. So what you said about geography? Very good. So what we are essentially focusing upon earth's surface is, it is study of earth's surface as home of humans, as home of the human beings. And what is essentially home? What home stands for? What is home standing for? Can I say home stand for something significant for us, something very relevant for us, which provides for our survival? It is essential for our survival. In a way, we are human. So essentially, when I'm saying this, what I mean is, if we talk about geography, geography is concerned about study of human and environment relationship, and how this human and environment relationship is distributed on the earth's surface. Okay. So what is essentially how it is distributed on earth's surface. This is what geography is all about. Okay. Like, if you think about this, can I say I will have to, that means understand environment? Yes or no? If I want to understand human environment relationship, will I have to understand what is environment? Yes or no? तभी तो समझेंगे यार. Then only we'll be able to understand what is human environment relationship. As a result, what we do, we study in geography, one branch of geography is, we call it as physical geography. So what we are trying to do in physical geography, we are trying to understand first the environment. And then what we try to do, we try to understand the environment's relationship with the human beings. And this is essentially done where? In human geography. Okay. So if you talk about the environment, can I say environment has these 4 pillars. There are 4 pillars of environment. One is referred to as lithosphere. Another one is referred to as atmosphere. Then there is hydrosphere, and then there is biosphere. What is happening? All these are interlinked to each other. Okay. All of them are interlinked to each other. So what is happening in lithosphere? It can determine what is happening in atmosphere. Like, for example, if suppose there is a mountain, what will happen if I go high in the mountain? What will happen with temperature? It will be decreasing. So can I say lithosphere, is it determining the temperature? Is it determining the conditions of atmosphere? Obviously, yes. Okay. Like, suppose if you talk about Himalayas, you know about Himalayas? Young fold mountains bordering India in the north. Okay. Can we say latitude wise, are they located outside tropics? Yes or no? You know about tropics? You know about Tropic of Cancer? They are located outside Tropic of Cancer. In a year, sun's direct rays are falling up to where? Tropic of Cancer. Okay. So if a mountain is present like this, sun direct rays are falling up till this. Does it means the Himalayas, if you talk about, their southern slope will receive direct sunlight and northern slope won't be able to receive direct sunlight? Yes or no? Obviously, yes. So is the lithosphere determining the atmosphere? Obviously, yes, it is determining the atmosphere. So this is what we are saying, all these are interlinked to each other. And this is what we try to study as a part of physical geography. But we have to understand, physical geography is a means. It is a means to attain an end. What is that end? End is this. To understand what? Human and environment relationship. Okay? Because we are studying everything from perspective of whom? From the human's point of view. We want these studies to benefit us. That is why we are doing that. That is why we are studying. So, physical geography ultimately paves way to understanding of the human and environment relationship. Okay? Like for example, let us take some examples. How many of you have visited villages? And I am not talking about Himalayan villages, outside the Himalayan villages. गाँव देखें? Okay. Have you seen the villages in these houses? One very common thing you will be finding in these villages houses is that in these houses there is an open space which is referred to as courtyard. Okay? Almost across India, if you leave the Himalayas, across India, you will find this to be common, whether you are talking about the Indo-Gangetic plains or whether you talk about the South India. Across India, you will be finding there is this culture of courtyard. In North, in Hindi, we call it as Angan. So, you will find across, even poor people will have. Why? क्या रीजन हो सकता है? Sunrise will come. Okay. गार्डन जैसा बनाते हैं, ठीक है. You are too much westernized. We Indians were naturally poor. If you look into the human and the resource availability, the ratio which was there. Okay, tell me, can we say that basically because if I look south of Himalayas, even the northern plains, although they are lying in subtropics, essentially they are tropical. Climatologically, they are tropical. That means India is basically what? It is a warm country, which becomes very, very warm. Okay. Can we say in old times there was no AC, there was no coolers? So, if there is a courtyard and the rooms, windows and doors open towards the courtyard, does it means that it will allow circulation of air? Yes or no? It would allow circulation of air. So, the primary purpose of this courtyard was this, to keep the rooms cool. And this is the reason you will be finding them to be present across India south of Himalayas. In Himalayas, they might not be present because you know Himalayas become very cold in the winters. So, when I am talking about the house structure, tell me, isn't it study of human and environment relationship, the type of houses we are building? It is essentially human and environment relationship. ठीक है? Take other example or example लेते हैं. Like for example, you must have heard about iron and steel industry. So, like for example, one famous iron and steel industry, Tisco, where it is located? Jamshedpur. There is Bokaro iron and steel industry, where located? Bokaro. ठीक है? तो बाद में देखेंगे when we study human geography that if you talk about suppose there is raw material and there is a market. If I have to establish an industry and this industry is based upon certain raw material, out of that raw material 60% is waste, only 40% enters in the final product. ठीक है? 60% वेस्ट निकलता है उसमें. So tell me, if I establish the industry here, can I say I will have to from here also carry the waste? Will my cost of transportation increase? Can I say, will it be more economical if I establish the industry here near to the source of raw material? Will I be able to make savings in the cost of transportation? Obviously, yes. Okay. So, for example, you might be aware that if you look into the Indian scenario, India has iron ore as well as coal. These are the two major resources which determine the location of iron and steel industry. Okay, like for example, if you look into the hematite iron ore that we have, we will be finding that essentially around on an average 50 to 55% is the metal content, rest is waste. So, if that is the case, can I say industry kahan par honi chahiye? Should it be the near the source of the raw material? Obviously, yes. So, can you understand Jamshedpur ki agar hum baat kare, it is located where in a region which is referred to as Singhbhum. And this Singhbhum region, if you talk about, it is very rich in iron ore. So, there are several mines of iron ore. We are doing their mining and taking out this iron ore. So, can I say, does it mean that is it economical to establish the industry there? Obviously, yes. Same thing if you take the case of Bokaro Iron and Steel. Bokaro is located on Jharia coal fields. Okay. So, Jharia coal fields, they are supplying the main coal, if you talk about even coking coal to India. And coal is another very important ingredient, very important raw material in the production of iron and steel. So, can I say thus one, if I want to establish one more industry, iron and steel industry, Bokaro would be an ideal place. So, again what we find there in Bokaro, we find that there is iron and steel industry found. So, can you understand even the location of industry, is it an example of human and environment relationship? Obviously, yes. Okay. You know, in your GS paper 3, there is direct mention of a topic as a part of economy, and this topic is cropping pattern. Have you seen the syllabus? So, there is cropping pattern. So, you know, India has very varied cropping pattern, very varied cropping pattern. So, we find, like for example, one of the crops which we grow is wheat, which is the most important belt for cultivation of wheat in India. It is northwestern plains, Punjab, Haryana, western UP, Rajasthan. Some wheat also we grow in Madhya Pradesh, okay. Malwa region particularly, some wheat is grown, but not too much. Essentially, why? Why that area is most important? Because wheat is a temperate crop. It cannot withstand too much of temperature, too much high temperatures. If you go South India, if I go in like for example Tamil Nadu, etc., can I say these are essentially proper tropical areas where throughout the year the temperature is high, there are no winters. And does it means that if I try to grow wheat there, I will not succeed? The crop will become failure. But अगर मैं North India में देखूं, plains में देखूं, tell me, can I say, do we find that the winters are actually cool? Winters are cool to cold. So, can I say in winters, do I get that kind of climate which is suitable for cultivation of wheat? Definitely yes. So, the every cropping pattern that we are doing, can we say is it an example of human and environment relationship? Obviously yes. Okay. Similarly, if you talk about transportation, we will talk about transportation geography. So, we will read about modes of transportation. So, there are various modes of transportation, whether it is roadways, whether it is railways, airways, waterways. ठीक है. So if I have to think about transportation, what is essentially, what do you think is the primary purpose of transportation? क्या हो सकता है? To reach a place as far as fast as possible, okay. Commodity or material transportation, okay. Okay, think about this. I'll tell you one story. In my village, it is located somewhere in eastern Uttar Pradesh. So my grandfather used to tell us story. And what was this story? That there is a village actually, which is located, if I go today by my car, from my village to going to that village, it will take 30 minutes. So I am talking about the other village, which is one is my mother's village and one is my father's village. Okay. So now if I go, it will take 30 minutes. My grandfather used to tell me that in early times when we used to go, when he was a child, when he used to go with his parents, they have to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and they will start early. By 5 they should be on, because they used to walk, because there was no such mode of transportation available. So if they start walking early, as early as possible, then only it was possible that by evening they would be able to reach there. They had to go through the forests, and it was very important that they reach before the sun was going down, because you can understand forests can be danger places. So why it was so? Can you understand? Can we say time and space, do they constrain our activities? Do they restrict our activities? If the space is too much bigger and the time that I have is less, can I say, will it restrict my activity? It will definitely restrict my activity. If I am here right now, no matter what, I cannot be right now at other place, because I am right now taking classes here. Okay. So time and space, what they are doing, they are constraining human activity. But suppose there was this place A and this place B. If there was early times no mode of transportation available, there was no road, it was taking for me to reach there 12 hours, 14 hours. What will happen if I construct in between these two places, Modi ji ka bullet train bana de? What will happen? Can I say I would be able to reach there in few minutes? So tell me, with the construction of transportation mode, was I able to control time and space? Yes or no? Did time and space shrunk because of that construction of transportation mode? Just now I told you, if I am here, I cannot be anywhere else. But tell me, with the development of internet and information and communication technology, can I be also right now, am I also at other places? Like for example, I can see here, people are watching me. I don't know from how much far places they can see me. Live they can see me. So with these technologies, what we have done? Have we changed the human and environment relationship? Definitely yes. That is also study of the human and environment relationship. Everything that we are studying in geography and we are focusing upon, it is essentially what? It is about the study of human and environment relationship. Okay. So this diagram which was there of geography, because ये बहुत गलत perception है, this is a very wrong perception about geography that people have. If you ask a layman what geography is, his perception will be only about mountains, rivers, Geography is not just this. It will be incomplete without the anthroposphere. There is also a sphere which is located, which is surviving on these spheres of environment, and that is the anthroposphere. So anthroposphere kya hai? It is the human sphere, human beings. For our survival, we draw resources from these pillars of the environment. We have relationship, we have specific relationship with these pillars of environment, which is manifested in our resource exploitation, which is manifested in our agriculture, which is manifested in our industries, in our transportation, in our demography, in our settlement types, in every walk of life. In short, I can say it is displayed in our culture. Culture is essentially what? It is a manifestation of this human and environment relationship. Okay? Like take another example. You might have seen history, maybe you'll be studying about this culture. So have you seen Islamic architecture? Islamic architecture dekha hai? You might have gone to some of these like Taj Mahal. How many of you have visited Taj Mahal? Okay, only 3-4 of you. बाकी लोग क्यों नहीं गए भाई? It is actually very beautiful. Although don't go in the summer, I would suggest, because you cannot wear shoes, they'll not allow you, and it will become very hot. But just coming back to Islamic architecture, if you would have seen, you would have seen that in almost all Islamic architecture, there will be lots of water bodies, fountains, etc. There will be lots of them. So why so? Okay, to make it cooler surroundings. Okay, what else? क्या हो सकता है? If you read it, you'll know that actually the Islamic culture, it was born in Middle East, and Middle East is essentially what? It is a desert. In a desert, a person who has water, who has access to water, who has control over water, is the person who is rich. The more water you have, the more rich you are. So in such area, water is symbol of richness. Okay, so wherever they went, what they did, they carried their culture with them. इंडिया में तो वाटर की उस टाइम तो कोई कमी नहीं थी, अभी तो देयर इज सम स्कार्सिटी ऑफ वाटर, बट एट दैट टाइम देयर वाज नो सच स्कार्सिटी, बट दे wherever they went, they carried their culture with them. So culture is essentially what? It is, if we go back and if we study it in detail, we'll be finding all this culture, everything that we are doing, it is all outcome of our specific relationship with the environment. So as a part of geography, what we are concerned about study of this relationship. Okay? But today what is happening? There is an imbalance taking place in this relationship. In the past, this relationship was comparatively more balanced. Although this idea is very subjective, what is the balance? But still we can say that it was comparatively more balanced. Today there is a imbalance which has crept in. Like for example, if you are reading your newspapers or articles which are coming online, or reading or hearing about the news, you might be hearing that from the past 15 days, the scientists are very worried. They are very much worried. Why they are worried? Because the temperatures, if you talk about particularly of the oceans, are at all-time high. So there is a fear today that is being expressed. have we reached the tipping point? You might have heard this word, tipping point, where everything will change. So what is happening today? There is this kind of fear. So why this fear? Because we know that we have disturbed this balance. So what has actually happened is something like this. Tell me, if you talk about the anthroposphere, can we say this anthroposphere has grown in size? Yes or no? It has obviously grown in size. And when I am saying grown in size, it is not just in terms of number of people. It is not just in terms of number of people. It is also in terms of the technology that we are using. It is also in terms of our culture. Okay, let's take an example. In the past time, the agriculture which was done, it required less water, because the seeds which were used, they were adapted to the area. Today what we are doing? Can we say there is spread of green revolution? Have you heard about this term? And green revolution is based upon a specific type of seeds referred to as HYV seeds, high yielding variety seeds. And what is the characteristic of these high yielding variety seeds? These high yielding variety seeds will give you high yield only when you will provide them lots of nutrients. And how we are providing them nutrients? By providing it through as chemical fertilizers. Okay. Now these are chemical fertilizers, they are very concentrated, they are in very concentrated form. If you just put those chemical fertilizers, they would damage the tissues of the plants. So first what you have to do, you have to put lots of water and dilute them, so that it becomes easy for the plants to absorb them. Now when you are putting water and you are also putting lots of nutrients, tell me, have you created a condition very favorable for growth of pests? That means you also would have to use what? Pesticide. So the technology which has changed, can I say the technology is now more resource intensive? Is it extracting more resources? It is demanding more resources. And our cultures have also changed. If you take the cultural change which is taking place, I still remember, and there is a culture in North India, Diwali culture. So in Diwali what happens, you have to share gifts with your neighbors. And because I belong to 80s, so thoda budha hu in that sense. So I have seen, I consider myself very fortunate. Why? Because I am a person who have seen the era which was pre-globalization, and I have also seen the era which is post-globalization. So what was the era in pre-globalization? When we used to go to give these gifts to our neighbors, basically my mother would give a thali mein, in one of those plates, she would give some that flaked rice and some sweets, and I'll just go to the neighbors and I'll give them, they will also give something similar kind of thing, we'll share and ho gaya. And nobody has had any problems. What is the case today? If I don't give them that packed sweets, that chocolates, ultimately they will think bad about me. कि क्या यार, कैसा आदमी है? And what happened in preparation of those packed chocolates? Can I say there must have been some deforestation? Yes or no? So what has happened? Our culture has also become more resource intensive. We have adopted a culture which was actually developed in West. But if you look in West, what is the condition in West? Can I say in West, this is the population, and This is the resource. Have you seen the size of North America? It is huge and it has huge resources. Compare it with the population, it is very less. And if you take the same with respect to India, in India this is the population and this is the resource we have. If you look into our past cultures, for example, I remember like I have seen, and many times you would have seen your particularly grandparents, they'll have like this kind of culture ki they don't want to throw things. If something is not working, they'll keep it. Okay. Why they are doing that? Because our culture was formed in this kind of scenario. They know that we have scarcity of resources. They knew that we have to do recycling. Today we are so much talking about recycling, but we don't even understand what is recycling. So they knew that we had to do recycling. And my parents had this habit, and they'll keep so many things at home and it would not look very good. So when my friends used to come, I would feel shy, yaar, kya ghar ka baadi jaisa bana rakha hai. But now I really am proud of them because I know what they were doing was correct. Today everybody is talking about this, that you have to recycle, you have to conserve things, but actually nobody understands the meaning. What we have done, we have imported certain cultures which were never ours, and this is leading to what? This is leading to resource depletion. This is leading to environmental degradation. Today we go, if you go washroom, what will essentially happen? Can I say I'll push the flush, and just by one push, how many liters of potable water will just go down the drain? Many liters. So what has happened when we are saying about this expansion, can you understand? This expansion is not just impact of population. This expansion is outcome of at least 3 factors, and these 3 factors are PAT: population, affluence and technology. Because of these 3 factors, what has happened? The anthroposphere is expanding. And if the anthroposphere is expanding, tell me, does it means will there be more pressure on these? Will there be more exploitation of these spheres? Definitely yes. There will be more and more exploitation of these spheres taking place. Okay? And this is what is happening today. You might have heard about so many things are being done. Have you heard about Paris deal, Paris climate deal? So where the leaders of the world gathered and they talked about how to save the environment, how to save the earth. Global warming is taking place. We have to do something against it to make sure that the temperature doesn't cross 2 degrees Celsius change, and try to even ensure that it doesn't passes 1.5 degrees Celsius change. So why this is happening? Because this is all happening. Have you understood? You must have heard about this. Did you hear about Joshimath? There was sinking of land taking place. So why this sinking of land was taking place? Because of this. We have put lots of pressure, we have extracted too much from the lithosphere. So there was sinking of land taking place. We have introduced changes in the atmosphere. Hydrosphere, have you heard about the garbage patches of the oceans? We have dumped so much, if you talk about garbage, including plastics in the oceans, that they are now covering very large part of the oceans. In fact, what is happening in the oceans also, there is a fear that we are also changing through our activities, in fact through global warming, we are also changing the circulation in the oceans. The ocean currents, for example, there is a fear that they are slowing down, and if they slow down or if they stop, there will be a global catastrophe. If you just want to know this catastrophe, एक movie भी है इस पे, Day After Tomorrow. So it talks about this catastrophe which will take place. So we have brought so much pressure and changed the hydrosphere. Same thing if you talk about biosphere. Today, biologists are talking about 6th mass extinction episode taking place. So till now, the entire history of Earth, and history of the Earth is how much long? 4.5 billion years. There have been 5 mass extinction episodes. Like one you might have heard about, one mass extinction episode, your dinosaurs got extinct. Okay. So similar type of such 5 extinction episode, mass extinction episodes have taken place. And today there is 6th one ongoing. During mass extinction episodes, what happened? The rate of extinction of the species, it accelerates. So today what is happening? Many species are becoming extinct at a very fast rate. So we have introduced changes in the biosphere as well. Okay. So this is what all your geography is about, and this is what we have to study in geography. ठीक है. तो अगर मैं सिलेबस को देखूं ज्योग्राफी का, तो वन aspect of the syllabus is saying, one topic of the syllabus is salient features of world physical geography. Okay. So it says salient features of world physical geography. Can I say when I am talking about this, salient features of world physical geography will be what? Do I need to know about the lithosphere, which I will study in geomorphology? Do I need to study about atmosphere, which I will study in climatology? Do I need to study about hydrosphere? I will study in oceanography. I will study biogeography. Okay. So that is basically what? That is the salient features of world physical geography. But simultaneously, they have mentioned one more thing in the syllabus of paper 1, and they have mentioned critical or important geophysical phenomena like cyclones, earthquakes, floods, volcanoes, etc., landslides, tsunami, etc. Okay. And critical changes taking place in these geophysical phenomena, including the biota and the ice caps. This is mentioned in the syllabus. Okay. So can I say why they have to mention it second time? Even if they were not mentioning, for example, by this geophysical phenomena, tell me, if I was teaching in the class, will I not teach you about landslides when I am talking about geomorphology? I will teach you there. When I am talking about the climatology, will I not teach you about cyclone? I will be teaching there cyclone also. Okay. Same thing, earthquakes I will have to teach, volcanism I will have to teach. Without volcanism, how I will explain you geomorphology? Then why they are mentioning it separately? They are mentioning it separately because of this, which is happening, this shrinking of these pillars which is taking place. And it is most manifested where? It is most manifested in these geophysical phenomena. Take the example of floods. Okay. We will be finding at the time of independence, the flood prone area in India, annually area जो flooded हो जाता है, it used to be around 5 million hectares. By 2010, this area had more than doubled. It was over 10 million hectares. What happened then? Did India start receiving more precipitation? Why it happened? Because what we did was essentially this. So, if suppose this is the precipitation which I am receiving, can I say part of this precipitation will go on the surface into the ocean as runoff, and the rest which is left, it will go underground as groundwater. There will be infiltration. So, there are other elements also, but broadly speaking this is our hydrological cycle. Okay. What we have been doing as human beings, tell me. Can we say we have been deforesting? Okay. Deforestation is taking place. There is also, we are making the land concrete. और ये भी काफ़ी नहीं है. What we are further doing, there was water in the underground. We are excessively withdrawing this water and making it as a part of runoff. In fact, today, not today, yesterday there was one news which I read, and it says that humanity has withdrawn so much of groundwater that the axis of rotation of Earth has changed. Can you imagine? So, what we are doing, because of this land use changes, now what we have done something like this. Now, this is the runoff and this is the infiltration which is taking. Can I say, if this is the scenario, does it means that will there be more floods? Obviously, there will be more floods. Or does it also means that there will be more droughts? Droughts bhi honge na? Because groundwater mein water is getting less. You must be aware, groundwater is very important feeder for number of water bodies, lakes, rivers. So there also water is becoming less. So it is no wonder both floods and droughts simultaneously both are increasing in frequency as well as magnitude. Take other example. If we talk about, suppose this is the river, okay, and 1980s mein a idea came that if you make things small, they will do less damage to the environment. So before that we had this idea of making large dams, multi-purpose projects, but since mid-90s we decided that no, small is better. So we thought of going more for mini and micro dams, which are damaging less environment. But now what happened? There was clearance given to too many mini and micro dams. Too many mini and micro dams. Okay. Now tell me, if there are too many mini and micro dams, AC क्या करना है? So if there are too many mini and micro dams, does it means that will it, वो AC देख लो क्या करना है? Will it interrupt the velocity of flow of water? Change हो जाएगा, धीमा हो जाएगा. And if it is slowing down, does it means that even if there is moderately heavy precipitation, will there be chance that there can be floods? Obviously yes, क्योंकि water निकल नहीं पा रहा है channel के through, and there is too much water getting accumulated because the water is not flowing with high velocity, and ultimately there will be floods. So what we human beings have done, We have brought so many changes now that ultimately it needs to be understood so that we can curate these problems. So, can you understand the second part of our syllabus? So, one, they are talking about the salient features of world physical geography, but they also want to understand what human beings have led to changes in many of these critical geophysical phenomena. Okay? So, that is another key which we need to focus upon. In fact, if you look into the number of questions which are being asked, this area is second in terms of number of questions which are being asked, the geophysical phenomena. Okay. Similarly, if you talk about, then there is another topic of the syllabus, and another topic of the syllabus says it is mainly it is economic geography. Economic geography or economic geography mein there are two topics which are mentioned. One is resources. So, the syllabus says distribution of resources in India and world. Okay. So, that is the topic which mentions. So, you can understand resources ki agar baat kare. So, we will see resource is a very broad concept, like for example, it is more of a mental concept now. Anything which I can see as a resource, and if I can develop the technology to use it as a resource, it will essentially become a resource. So, our today's definition of resource is that resources are not given, resources are made by the human beings by development of technology. So, this topic basically will look into number of type of resources, like we will talk about land resource. Land is, can I say, very basic resource. There is water resource, there are biotic resources like forest resource, there are marine resources, then there are mineral resources, then there are energy resources. So, several type of resources that we have to study as a part of this, and definitely from India's perspective as well as from the world perspective. Okay. So, that is another topic. One more topic which is mentioned in the syllabus is factors affecting location of industries in India and world. So, if you talk about these industries, syllabus mentions three type of industries: primary, secondary and tertiary industries. Okay. So, this is what is mentioned in the syllabus. Now, tell me, even if our paper 1 syllabus of geography does not mentions agriculture, can I say when it is saying primary industries, is agriculture a primary sector industry? Obviously, yes. Even अगर resource अलग से नहीं mention किया होता, suppose can I say minerals I would have to study? Is mining a primary sector industry? Obviously, yes. So, primary sector industries हैं. Then there are secondary sector, manufacturing sector industries. So, you know number of type of them, like metallurgical industries like iron and steel, aluminum, etc., or building next level on them like engineering industries. You might be knowing today India is one of the important producers of automobile in the world. Okay. Particularly we are very advanced in terms of two-wheelers and small car segments. So, we have become very important manufacturer of automobiles. So, such type of industries, engineering industries, or take another example, other type of industry is chemical industries, but not only basic chemical industries. India is today a very important producer of pharmaceuticals. So, chemical and pharmaceutical industries. Okay. Similarly, Is India also famous for textiles? Variety of textiles we are producing. Also, can we say several other type of industries like food processing, agro based. So, variety of industries we have to essentially study as a part of the secondary sector industries. Then there is tertiary sector. अब tertiary sector में क्या पढ़ना है क्या नहीं पढ़ना है, again many things can be there, but traditionally speaking दो तरह की industries हमें पढ़नी पड़ेंगी. Like for example, can I say transportation, is it a tertiary sector activity? Yes, it is. Similarly, tourism, is it a tertiary sector activity? Yes. So you should know tourism industry, what are the problems, for example, we are facing in India. Beside, we can definitely talk about other tertiary sector industries like software, or if you talk about for India, you know, software industry is very important. Today, if you talk about education, is a very important industry which is growing in India. In recent times, you know, many companies of India like Baiju, they have begun to provide services even in the world. Okay. So that is another growing industry in India. So some service industries we'll have to look into. And what are essentially the focus here should be what? The factors affecting their location. Okay. So even when you are studying mining, you need to know the factors why mining is being done at a particular place. So like for example, think, suppose मुझे iron ore mine करना, if I have to mine iron ore, you will find that the crust of the earth is such that iron is one of the minerals which is distributed very evenly. Everywhere it would be found. But अगर वो everywhere मिल रहा है, so does it mean that I should start mining anywhere? We cannot do, because there is something called as the grade of the ore. How much of the percentage, the rocks which are present, how much percentage of iron is present in them? So like we talked about magnetite, hematite, all of these are basically what? They tell us about the percentage of iron which is contained in them, the metal content. Also, suppose if I find at a place, there is presence of some hematite rocks. Suppose मुझे कहीं पे मिल गया hematite rocks. Will I just start mining? Maybe not. Because, can I say mining, will it require some sophisticated technology maybe? कुछ machines हो सकता है मुझे buy करनी पड़ जाएंगी. मान लो मैंने machines buy भी कर लिया है. Even if I am able to buy those machines, I will buy it on the basis of what is the size of the ore. Even if I say that it is only 100 kgs, will it be beneficial for me? Will it be economical for me? No, it will not be. So the size of the ore should be also large enough. Okay. So again, do you get my point? Whenever we are studying geography, आज तक हमें जैसे स्कूल में पढ़ाया गया, I used to hate geography, literally hate, because हमारा geography teacher what used to do, she used to say कि book खोलो, you read, you keep on reading, and everybody has to read. Ultimately, she was also sleeping, we were also sleeping. So it was more of a kind of factual thing. Here it is not. Here it is more about understanding if something is located at a place, why it is located there, what is the significance of that, what are the consequences of that. The focus will be more on such type of aspects. Okay, so this is the part of geography that we will be talking about. Then there is another thing that you have to study, environment ecology, which you know it is part of your paper 3, and it is also very important from the perspective of your prelims. In fact, you must be aware that this year how many questions were there from geography and environment ecology? Have you seen? How many? It was around 32. Last year again it was 33. Almost every year you will be finding above 30 there are questions from geography and environment. Okay. and there were around 18 questions from geography. And if you have seen the questions of geography, they were the one type of questions which could be easily answered. They were not the very difficult category of questions. और उन 18 में से सपोज मैंने 15 कर लिए होते, and it was not that impossible, it could be done if you would have prepared well. 15 का मतलब कितना हुआ? How much score you have got? 30. 30 score बन गया out of just 18 questions. और suppose 25 questions में से मेरे 15 हो गए इधर, और 30 questions थे, I am able to do 15 out of 30. I have got already 30 marks. One of my students who got qualified this year, he was not sure that he will qualify, तो उसने मेंस की प्रिपरेशन भी स्टार्ट नहीं की थी, because he was getting just 76 marks in the prelims. And ultimately, when the results came few days back, he was shocked. He got selected. So can you understand, 76 पे selection हुआ है, and you, if you have done that 15 questions correct, you were already at 30. So that is the significance that we are talking about here. And if you actually look into the total numbers in terms of what is the relevance in paper 1, paper 3, you will be finding it is almost 250 marks. Almost 250 marks. Because in paper 3 also there is agriculture, for example, and lot of things that you study in as a part of agricultural economy, you study as a part of agricultural geography as well. There is lots of overlapping. Same thing if you talk about, there is environment ecology paper 3, again there are separate things, but many things like biogeography, same. In fact, because since I will be taking up, so biogeography I will not take as a part of physical geography, I will take there as a part of environment ecology. Okay. So this is what we are dealing with. In fact, can you understand, अगर तुम लोगों ने पेपर देखा होगा, and if you have seen the marks of the toppers, मेंस की बात कर रहा हूँ, in paper 1, what is the general score that they are getting? Toppers I am talking about. Around 110. Paper 1 का जो score है average, it is 110. Okay. So let us take this 110. If you look into the paper, you will be finding that geography questions are about 100 marks. Okay. Like last 2 years, if we look into, it was more than 100, but average निकालता है 100 marks. If you look into history, total if you talk about history, it was 75 marks. And then there is also Indian society, which was 75 marks. Today, go home and look into the previous year questions. One thing you will be finding, that the questions of history, they have become very subjective. There is too much subjectivity in them. Okay. And if the question is subjective, can I say that 1 plus 1, for me it is 2. But if a question is philosophical, more subjective, can I say for the examiner 1 plus 1 can be also 1? Yes or no? For example, take two lovers. They will always say that we are 1. So 1 plus 1 is equal to 1 हो गया. Take husband, wife. 1 plus 1, there may be child. It will become 3, maybe 4, maybe 5. So when there is philosophical subjectivity, you can never be sure that what you know or what you have written will also be the same thing which the examiner has in mind. So you look into the questions of history and Indian society, you will be finding they are very subjective. Okay? That means I can never be sure there how many marks I will be scoring. But geography is the area which is very objective. It is like a science. So here what I will be writing, it is for sure 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. Do you get my point? For example, if the question is asking why there is more pollution in Delhi compared to Chennai and Mumbai, I know why there is. It is a kind of fact. Number of factors are there ranging from the climate. Delhi has subtropical climate. Winters there will be subsidence of air, the air will become very cold. Delhi has a continental climate. We know that surrounding Delhi there are many industries. We know that surrounding Delhi there is the burning of the residue of agricultural products taking place. So it is what? It is a fact. If I write all these things, can I say the chances that my answer will match with the model answer of the examiner will be high? Yes or no? तो ज्योग्राफी में जो ज्योग्राफी पार्ट है उसमें स्कोर करने की सर्टेनिटी है. दैट मीन्स इफ आई एम एबल टू स्कोर, सपोज यहां से मैं 50% भी स्कोर कर पाता हूं, आउट ऑफ 100 I have scored 50%, that means 50 marks. Now I need to score how much? 60 marks more. Out of how much? 150 marks. अभी भी 150 marks बचे हैं. ठीक है? But if I don't score this 50 marks here, I can never be sure that I will be able to reach that marks of 110. ठीक है? So this is the significance of this topic that we are talking about, geography and your essentially environment and ecology. Okay. So more or less I have given you an idea. More I will dwell upon when we will be starting the classes. So in detail I will be talking about what things we have to do, what are the topics, what are the subtopics, subtopics what we have to cover. Okay. So if you have any queries now you can ask me. कुछ पूछना है तो पूछ सकते हो. किसी को नहीं पूछना है? What subtopics I will be handling? We are yet to decide. I have proposed that physical geography. See what is happening in majority of the classes which are happening everywhere. Most of the teachers, they are good in, they are more comfortable in physical geography. Okay. So what happens? 70 to 80% of the time of the classes they will spend in physical geography. And just 20% of the time they will be teaching you human geography. And if you look into the question, however, you will be finding more questions are coming from human geography. Okay. Out of this 100 marks, around you will find that 60 and sometimes even more marks are coming from human geography. Okay. So I have in fact proposed that it would be better I take human geography part, because I know others will not do justice with that part, but I am equally good in both physical and human geography. So it doesn't matters to me whether I am teaching human geography or physical geography. और physical geography जो GS level का physical geography होता है वो कोई भी पढ़ा देता है. It is like that. Any other questions? Okay then. किसी को कुछ नहीं पूछना है तो. And hopefully you can understand the beginning things which I talked about will be the ultimate decider. That revision, that discipline, if you are able to maintain, that is going to be the key. No matter how much good content I teach you in the class, if you are not revising it, if you are not memorizing it, nothing is going to help you. Okay, goodbye, take care. We'll meet again in the classes.